What's going on YouTube? It is Rocky in real time, and I help make content for people who want to move abroad and live a sustainable life while they're there. Now today we have a very interesting topic. I didn't really plan on covering this topic, but a friend sent me this post by another YouTuber who's infamous and who's done some questionable things while he's been overseas, and he's a self-proclaimed travel boss. You know, as you can see here, I'm going to put this little thumbnail from one of his videos where he claims to be a travel boss, but he doesn't know one of the more rudimentary things about traveling and travel hacking and travel credit, right? Or travel credit cards. And I wanted to talk about this a bit, and I wanted to preface the rest of the information in the video by saying you have to be careful of who you listen to, who you take advice from, who you take your cues from, and just who you follow in general, because you're gonna be misguided by a lot of people's misinformation if you don't actually follow up and try and validate or just see if that is real. Because if you're a self-proclaimed travel boss, you should know this stuff. You should know this stuff. And I'm just gonna show you the post. So I'm gonna put it on the screen here. I'm gonna read from my computer screen. And he says, I've caught 40 plus flights this year. Can't get approved for one travel credit card. No inquiries, no late payments, no collections. System is total BS, right? Now there's a lot to unpack from that statement there, and you can see how much he doesn't know. As a travel boss, you're supposed to know this. This is like basic rudimentary stuff about traveling and travel hacking. And if you caught 40 plus flights this year, you're supposed to be flying for free, dog. To the title of this video, should you get a travel credit card before you travel overseas, before you live overseas? Like if you want to become an expat, a digital nomad, or if you just want to travel overseas, you absolutely should get a travel credit card, and a good one too. Credit in general, it matters, right? So with the right travel credit cards, you're gonna have access to a lot of points, perks, miles, cash back, discounts on hotels, rentals, and flights. You're gonna get a lot of access to these things. And you're gonna also have access to all these lounges in airports. So if you have a long layover, you can go hang out in a lounge, kick your feet up, sit in a nice cushion, nice chair. A lot of these lounges have showers and a bunch of amenities that you can take advantage of while you're in airports that have these participating lounges, like the Centurion Lounge and this and this and that, which you have access to if you have certain tiers of credit card. That's why it matters. It also matters because you're building credit history. Like a lot of people think that credit is bad, right? No, mismanaging your credit is bad. Credit is actually pretty good. It's actually amazing if you think about it. I never really used my debit card. I have not used my debit card in like probably 4 years. I use my credit card all day, every day. And the only thing I use my debit card for is to actually pay off my credit card. That's it. I don't leave debt or balances. Very seldomly do I do that. And if I do, it's below 10 or 15% maximum. And I've been able to amass great credit, good credit, excellent credit, just by doing that. But I had to learn the game. Like I didn't really know this. I'm not like a know-it-all or anything like this. It was forged by fire. Like there was a situation that happened to me that made me study and learn credit on an in-depth level because of a situation which I'll describe a little bit later. But I want to get back to why it's important to have credit. So like I said, you get all these perks, you get to build your credit history. And if you know anything about credit, the length of your credit history is a sizable chunk of your score. I think like 10 or 15%. So it actually does matter, right? And rental opportunities, you are not included in being able to have access to rental opportunities if you don't have good credit. A lot of buildings and all these condominiums and other places, they're going to run your credit. You have to have good credit history, and a minimum score and a certain amount of income. So good credit does help you get rental opportunities. Also, you have lower interest rates on loans, like car loans, credit cards, mortgages, auto loans, all those things. When you have good credit, the access to these loans becomes very, very low interest. So when you have low interest, you're literally saving thousands of dollars over the course of a loan. If you think of a mortgage, if you have the difference between having a 7% interest on your loan and 3% could be like $150,000 throughout the maturity and the life cycle of that loan. So this is very important stuff here. right? Same thing with auto loans. You know, a car that is like, you know, $22,000, you might end up paying $27,000 over the course of that lease because you have bad credit. Whereas someone, and you might have to actually put more down, you know, and pay more every month. And you might also have higher insurance premiums because you have bad credit. So bad credit or just no credit is actually costing you money. One other reason you need good credit as an expat, as a traveler, as a digital nomad is because the expense of traveling from place to place or moving from one place to another, like I have another video, how much it cost me to move to Brazil. It cost me about $10,000 roughly, right? And that was the estimated amount, I think like between 10 and 14 or so. And this was over the course of like 2 years because I was going back and forth, I was buying furniture, I was putting money down on an apartment. I was doing a lot of things before I got here, and that cost a lot of money. And to be able to have a credit card where I was just accumulating points by spending, you know, this money that I was already gonna spend, and paying it off, I was getting all these points. And plus, I'm actually traveling back and forth from the United States. So those points, I was actually putting it towards flights that I was taking. And I had several situations where I literally paid like $10 for a flight. I got a flight for free, or I was able to upgrade my flight with the points that I had. And like I said, this is the importance of credit. Like if you're gonna be traveling a lot, like I travel back to the United States like 3 times a year. So having access to these points or these travel credit cards is great. Like I said, for staying in lounges, for, you know, being able to have low cost or no cost flight tickets. Like when me and my wife flew from the United States from Brazil to the United States this summer, we were there from July 15th to I think September 22nd, so about 70 days. And I paid about $600 for a round trip ticket for both of us, right? And these round trip tickets were retailing for like $1,800 without using any points or anything like that. Same airline, like using Delta, you know, without any points and whatever, from Sao Paulo to New York was $1,800 round trip per person. So it's like $3,600. So you see how I just saved like $3,000 by just having good credit and having access to these credit cards. And like if you're going to be a digital nomad traveling, if you're going to be an expat and you need to travel once in a while or, you know, a few times a year, this is going to be a very good benefit to you. And also just having that flexibility and that financial flexibility in case of emergencies or unexpected expenses that are annoying, that is going to happen as you know, travel as a digital nomad, or if you're an expat. You're gonna have these unexpected expenses and they're gonna be annoying. They're gonna be very annoying. And just having the ability to leverage other people's money, OPM, other people's money. This is a famous acronym that a lot of rich and wealthy people understand. So I'm gonna put it on the screen, other people's money. You need to leverage other people's money. And I'm gonna play a little video here.
You need to start borrowing from the bank immediately, even if you don't need the fucking money. I got millions of dollars in lines of credit. I ask for more money now. I'll give you an example. I walked into Citizens Bank in Baton Rouge. I told my banker, I said, listen, I'll write you a check for $1 million if you give me 500,000 in lines of credit. Boom, he gave me that money. I just recently put that money in a land deal. 6 months, I'm gonna make $103,000. $500,000 of that money is not my money. Another thing you can do, if you are in the business and somebody gives you a contract, you can take the contract into the bank and say, listen, I need a line of credit against this contract. They'll give you the money, bro.
And as you can see in that video, the guy is describing how he's using and leveraging other people's money to make money for himself, right? So credit and having access to a credit line is actually very important as a digital nomad and expat. And if you want to start a business overseas, like, you know, using other people's money or having access to a credit line is also of good benefit to you, because what if you're in a country where you're taking advantage of geo arbitrage and the cost of living and the cost of expenses and the cost of labor is a lot less than the United States, but you can use your American dollar and you can leverage that to start a business. So now we know why it is important to have good credit. And how did I learn all this stuff? And I'm going to take you through that story right now. When I graduated from college and I went to school, a big state school that everybody's familiar with, there are, you know, let's just say they're number 3 in football right now, in college football. When I graduated, I came back to New York and I was looking for apartments, and I just wanted to move out of my parents' house and, you know, just live on my own like every normal young adult. And I didn't really have good credit. I didn't really have a long credit history. I had a credit card that I just opened up like 5 months before, so my credit history was pretty really new. And I was working an unpaid internship, but I actually found an apartment that I liked, and I also found a job during that same time. So I mapped everything out. I had some savings, about a few $1,000s, so I was able to, you know, put some money down for an apartment if I needed to. And I mapped everything out, so like maybe in the first 3 weeks or so after I started work, I would get my first check. I think the first 4 weeks. The first 2 weeks they hold your first check. So like that first month I had enough money, plus I was living with my parents still. So I had enough money to hold me over until I got this apartment, because I spoke to the realtor. It's a nice apartment, you know. It was a 2-bedroom, so I would have a roommate, but I had a friend in mind that we were gonna live together, right? And he had all his stuff in order, and I had my stuff in order, or so I thought. But then I made a major purchase on my credit card. Like I think I was buying some furniture, and then I bought a laptop. That's what I bought. I bought a laptop because I needed a new laptop. Like I absolutely needed a new laptop. The laptop that I had from college had, reached its shelf life. So I needed a new laptop, and that was an expensive expense. So I put it on my credit card with the intention of paying it all later. But I used up, you know, most of my credit utilization. I think I had a balance or a limit of like $1,000, and I bought like a laptop for like $900 on a card, and then I used the rest. I paid with cash. So I was using more than 35% utilization. And that is a huge factor when it comes to your credit. And since I didn't have a lot of credit history, my credit took a huge hit. So by the time I went to go actually submit my application for the apartment, I wasn't approved because my credit score had, you know, dropped like 30 points, and it had dropped to under what was required but for the apartment. So before all this happened, I already had the score needed and everything. I was checking Credit Karma. I had gotten a copy of my credit report. But during that time, before I was actually gonna go and drop the application, I had made that purchase for the laptop. And I didn't know this utilization rule at all. I just, I thought that if you just pay your bill on time and whatnot, I'd be fine. So I didn't know this. And because of that, my credit score dropped, and I was furious. I wasn't able to get the apartment. My friend, ended up having to go and find someone else to live with, and it was a bomb-ass apartment. I loved the apartment. Still, it was like, it would have been a nice apartment for the two of us, and we were really cool with each other. We're still friends today, so it was a missed opportunity is what I'm saying. It was a missed opportunity to have a nice apartment and live with one of my good friends in New York City in a cool neighborhood, in a cool apartment. And that was because I didn't have that foundational knowledge to make smart financial decisions. Because had I known, maybe I would have waited till after I got the apartment to buy the laptop, or use only maybe 15% of credit and tried to use the rest on cash or whatever. So that's what prompted me. I was so furious from then. I started buying books. I started watching YouTube tutorials. I started, reading blogs. I started, finding every sort of resource I could on the internet to help me learn this, because I was like, this is never happening to me again. Never, ever, ever, ever happening again. So over the course of a year, I became obsessed with it. I mean, I was spending bare minimum 30, 35 minutes to an hour and a half every single day, reading, watching YouTube tutorials, doing everything. I was checking Credit Karma and all these other sites like it was a part of my religion. That's how obsessed I was about it, because when I zero in on something, I focus on it, and then I just that's it, tunnel vision, and I just go all in on that thing. So I'm telling you, I was so obsessed with just maintaining my credit, because I realized how important it was in that moment. And I was hurt by that loss, because if you know anything about New York and New York City, finding a good apartment, especially with a roommate that you're cool with, is really, really hard. It's, for whatever reason, it's hard in New York City, right? So anyway, that's the story. That's how I decided to learn about credit and learn about just financial literacy in general, so that I can never experience that type of hurt again. So I want to recommend some resources, and at this point I want to like give you some tips and pointers, especially if you're just starting out and this is new to you. And like I said, this is Forged by Fire. I can show you, I'm going to walk through my credit profile in this website I use called myfreescorenow.com. But you know, I have this, which is my Amex Platinum. Let me just, there's a lot of light. My Amex Platinum, you know, that's metal right there. I have my Sapphire Preferred, right? It's my Chase Sapphire Preferred. I hope you can see that. I don't know if it's not, whatever. Sapphire Preferred. I have my Sky Miles Gold. There's another Amex card. Yeah, it's another Amex card here, right? And I have a Capital One Venture X as well. That's with my wife. She's out somewhere. I don't know where she is, so I'm not gonna show it to you today. So just gotta take my word for it. But I'm not showing off or anything, but like these are some of the top credit cards in the game, and I applied for all of these at one shot and I got them. And I'm gonna show you my credit profile and stuff like that on this site, and I'm gonna link everything in the description. But I just want to go through a couple resources that I use to get to this point, right? And a couple things before I start. Your credit profile matters more than your credit score. And I'm gonna say that again, your credit profile matters more than your credit score. And what do I mean by that? So your credit profile is basically everything on your credit profile, right? Yeah, your late payments, your names, addresses, and all that information. And if you have a 760 score, right? You have a 760 score, but you have like 5 or 6 late payments, and you have this, and you have that. You have a couple blemishes, right? You might not get approved for a certain card versus that guy that has a 710, but his whole record is clean. He has no late payments, no charge-offs, no closed accounts, no nothing. His credit profile is better than yours, even though you've got that 760 score. His credit profile is better than yours because he has less blemishes on his report. So your profile matters more than your credit score. So I just wanted to make sure you understand that. Now, there's a couple books I recommend that I read, and I'm like, yo, if you're watching this and you don't know that much about credit, pause the video, get the link, click the link in the description, buy these books right now. Like, they're that good. There's these 2 books that I read, they're that good. So the first one is the 800 Blueprints. This book right here, and I'm gonna link it in the description. Amazing, phenomenal book. Really, really good book. The next one is Repair Your Credit Like the Pros. Another great book. Another great book. I read these books cover to cover. They are tattered up. Like, I wish I could show you these books because I actually had the physical copy. And you know, recently, like 2 years ago, I got into ebooks because like I travel a lot and I don't like lugging all these books around. So I have like a Kindle now and whatnot. But like, they're marked up, highlighted, dog-eared, annotated, underlined, you know, written in. So this is how you want to treat these resources. Like, get those books. You can have an ebook and do the same thing and, you know, do all the annotation and stuff, but I got the physical copies and I was treating it like a textbook. That's what you should do. Treat these books like textbooks. Read a little bit every day and highlight, you know, mark wherever you can. Read it over and over. Like that 800 Blueprint, I read it 2.5 times. Repair Your Credit Like a Pro, I read that like almost 3 times. Like same thing, 2.5 times, right? I wanted to make sure I read each book at least twice, and then I went through the chapters that I needed to revisit as I was using the books. So another thing, like I'm gonna outline 10 things you can do to help you like in this process as well. And the first thing is you get your free credit report from this website called freecreditreport.com. It's a website that was set up by I think the 3 credit bureaus, and they are mandated by law to send every American citizen, not really send, but you can go up there and sign up for the site and you can request your credit your profiles and your credit reports from all three bureaus once a year. It's the law. You get it for free, right? And I think it's like $14.99 per report after that. So get your credit report for free. Get your report from all three bureaus. Make sure you highlight all your inaccuracies. Is the second thing you need to do. Highlight all your inaccuracies. Make a note of them, and make sure you make a note of them for later. The next thing you want to do is if you got some bad credit. You don't really need to do this if you have no credit history, right? If you have no credit history, you can skip this step. But if you have bad credit history, like your score's in the 500s, you've made some mistakes and whatnot, whatever, fine, cool. It's everything is fixable. You can even remove bankruptcies. So in that book, Repair Your Credit Like the Pros, they will show you how to remove a bankruptcy. So the next thing you need to do is freeze your reporting information from SageStream, LexisNexis, and Innovis. And these companies are like data companies, data aggregation and collection companies, and they get all these little websites that you sign up for and all these little things that you do, like in terms of like transactions, whether you had like late payments, whether you've had overdrafts, whether you've been evicted, all that stuff. That data is actually collected by these three companies and sent to the three credit bureaus, right? So, SageStream, LexisNexis, and Innovis, you want to freeze your reports on them while you're working on building your credit. And building your credit is going to be a process. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's going to take some time. It's going to take like maybe 6 months or more, maybe a year, depending on what you need to do and the things that you need to put in order. The next thing you want to do is you want to aggressively pay off all your balances. Make sure they're low or no balances, preferably no balances. But if it's a low balance, it has to be under 10%, and don't open up any new credit lines during this process, because you need to repair your credit before you put, inquiries and all that other stuff on your credit. So don't try and apply for anything new. You're in the fixing stage. So just make sure you keep your balances low and try and get these items, the items that I told you to highlight. I'm gonna show you how and what you can do to remove a lot of them, right? So the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna use the link in the description. Download a free copy of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FRCA. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is a body of laws and regulation, consumer laws, that dictate how and what these credit reporting agencies can and cannot do, and the laws behind it. It's about maybe 180 pages or so, and you want to read that like a textbook as well. You want to be really well versed in it, and it's not something that you should just sit down in one sitting. Again, maybe you read like 3 or 4 pages, 5 pages a day, and you'll probably be done in a month or two, right? 5 to 10 pages a day. And you want to read it by section. There's like 29 sections, like section 601 to like 629 or so. And I'm going to tell you which are the important sections to worry about. But you want to read it like a textbook. Highlight, annotate, underline, circle, write. And for each section, you want to do this, and you want to look up videos for interpretations of that section, like section 601, for example. Read it up in the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Try and understand it as much as you can. Go watch videos on it on YouTube, read articles, and see how people have used those certain and particular sections to send out challenges and challenge letters. And a lot of people actually have challenge letters and challenge letters templates that you can download for free online. The sections that are the most important in that the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the most important sections in that are 604, 604A, 611, 609, 605, 615, 618, 621, and 623. Those are the most important sections. You want to be very well versed in those sections because they contain a lot of consumer law. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I'd be talking forever, but they contain a lot of consumer law information and other like guidelines and things that these companies, these credit bureaus, and these other agencies have to follow that report. They have to report in a certain way, and if they don't, they violate. Listen, 70% of 70% of Americans have inaccuracies on their report, right? So you probably have something inaccurate on your report. I had a lot of things inaccurate on my report, right? And inaccuracies can be things like your name change, or like your name is not correct. Like the middle initial in your name is not correct. That's an inaccuracy. Your address is not correct. Your number is not correct. Your employment history is not correct. Those are all inaccuracies, and a lot of people have inaccuracies. I had like 15, like not even 50. I had like 1,000 over exaggeration. I had like 10 different versions of my name. Make sure that your name, your address, your number, your employment history, everything, every little detail about you is correct. The next thing you want to do is you want to know the difference between Metro 2 and consumer law. Like right now with the Fair Credit Reporting Act I've been talking about, that's consumer law. But there's also Metro 2, which is a set of guidelines that these credit card companies and these credit bureaus, they have to follow when reporting to, about on your credit report. So you can use that to challenge inaccuracies on your report, or you can use consumer law. It just depends on you. But I would focus on consumer law. Even though it's a little bit harder to learn, it is way more effective than Metro 2. I'm not saying Metro 2 is ineffective, but consumer law has yielded better results for a lot of people, including myself. Consumer law is like, the way to go. But Metro 2, you can still use Metro 2. I think it's like 15 cents a page or something like that to send challenges. So if you're sending like 40 pages, like this thing that can add up. Whereas using consumer law, you just have to print out, your challenge letters and send them, and that's pretty much free. And you should send it by certified mail, so you know exactly when this bureau got it, and they have 30 days to respond to you. And if they don't respond to you, they have to remove that item. When they're investigating your report and trying to see if something is accurate or not, but I think it's by like 609, don't quote me on this, it's one of the sections. You have the right to know how they went about in that process to investigate and come to the conclusion that that thing on your credit report is accurate. Like there's so many laws that protect you as a consumer that are buried in that Fair Credit Reporting Act. That's why I said you should read it and you should like internalize it over time. Also, find the best disputes for your situation. Everyone has a different, sort of situation, so you should use the consumer laws that are best applicable to your situation. And you can even use things like ChatGPT to help you draft letters and pick out certain sections of the consumer credit law that can help you challenge certain things on your report. But AI is only good as the prompt that you give it. And even OpenAI, the company that makes ChatGPT, they suggest that you should be somewhat of a subject matter expert in whatever you're trying to get results for. So having that in mind, you should read the Fair Credit Reporting Act before using AI to help you draft letters, because you have to give it enough context on your situation, and you have to give it enough context on which section you're trying to use. Again, AI is only good or as good as the prompt that you give it. So the next thing you want to do is you want to utilize these new fintech companies to help you add good things on your credit report. Again, your credit report is all about reporting. The more good things you have reported on your credit report, the better your credit report is going to be. And when your credit report and your credit profile is good, your score will be good, and you'll get approved for all those cards that I just showed you. If you take a look at something like Self is a sort of like, I call it an imaginary loan, but it's like a CD secured loan, right? And basically what it does is it charges your debit card every month. I think there's like an introductory fee, but it charges your debit card every month, and it's like you're paying a loan off, but they're securing the money for you. So like they charge you like little bits every month, and let's say the loan is like for $500. They'll charge you like maybe $25 every month. So at the end of 20 months, you're done paying the loan, and you're refunded that money back. The next thing I recommend is getting Tomo Boost. And Tomo Boost, they used to have a credit card which gave you like a $500 or $1,000 limit. And I had the credit card, but they shut that down, and now they do like a reporting service, in which I kind of like it though. I like their service, and it ranges from like $10 or $12 a month to like $89 a month, and they report up to $30,000 of credit access for you. So like they report a credit line for you of up to $30,000. So depending on what tier you get, the minimum is like, I think like 500 on the low end, then it's like 5,000 on the mid tier, and 10,000 as the minimum. And you can add all your bills like rent, Netflix, utilities, all that stuff, so that you can report a higher balance every month. And I've reported everything. Like I've put everything I could on my Tomo, so it's up to 30,000. And it's a great way to have and build credit history, because you're paying them a fee to basically send a good report every month to the credit bureaus. That's what you're basically doing. You're paying them to send a good report to the credit bureaus. And they also backdate your credit history. So they backdate up to 24 months in my case, because I got like the highest tier. They backdate 24 months of credit history. So again, like I said, your longevity in the credit game is a significant chunk of your score. So definitely something to check out. Also, check out Rent Reporters. Rent Reporters is a service, it's a fintech company. You pay a one-time fee of $95, and then it's like $10 a month after that, and you just report your rent. You report your rent. You're gonna pay your rent anyway, so you might as well report it, right, to the credit bureaus. So some of you guys are paying more rent than, you know, people pay for mortgage, so you might as well have that reported on your credit. Then there's another company called BRIGIT, and they give you access to cash advances of up to like $250 without interest, and it helps you set aside money for monthly payments to improve your credit history. So it's kind of like Self in a way, but it has its nuances and operates a little bit differently. So that's another service to look into. And you can read resources to help you understand these new fintech companies, to help you based on your situation, right? So they've got a dozen of these fintech companies popping up every month, and a lot of them are really good. But one other resource that I would recommend as well is reading NERDWALLET. NERDWALLET is amazing. They have a lot of resources on, you know, credit cards and like how to get approved for certain credit cards. They have, you know, just credit 101 tutorials and everything. I've been reading NERDWALLET for years. Absolutely recommend it. 10 out of 10 resource. Also, look into getting credit cards with credit unions, because they're a little bit more lenient on getting you trade lines or access to credit than the bigger banks and the bigger organizations are. So they're a great resource to use as well. And you know, you can also get secure credit cards where you just pay the money up front every month and you get to use the credit card. So it's a little bit more safe for the company, and they're also reporting as well what your credit history, and when your credit gets better, you can access or apply for, you know, other cards that are better than that secure credit card. So that's another way. And one of the best things you can do is just learn to be disciplined and continue to learn about financial literacy in a credit game, because even me, I'm still learning. I'm still learning consumer law. I'm still learning, you know, Metro 2. I'm still learning the new fintech companies that are popping up every day that I can use to help build my credit. And I'm still learning a lot. So I'm still learning how all these travel hacks and traveling, you know, discounts and rewards and points. You can check out something like a Lounge Buddy that shows you all the lounges that you have access to with your credit cards in the different airports that you travel to. And there's a bunch of other resources. I want to make another in-depth video about all these different credit resources. And I've actually teased about this in some of my videos. I do want to make a course on how to become a digital nomad or an expat, and credit and financial literacy is something I want to include in the course because it is vitally important. It is so important as a digital nomad, as an expat, to focus on you know, how to live a sustainable life abroad, and using credit is a way to do that. So I definitely want to, you know, give you that resource, right? But I think that's it for this video. Before the video ends though, I did promise that I want to show you my credit profile. So I'm going to show you my credit profile. I use My Free Score Now. Again, link is in the description, and all the links for everything I've talked about is going to be in the description. But I'm going to show you My Free Score Now and my profile, and yeah, and that's where I'll leave it for this video. What's going on, guys? It's Rocky Real Time. I'm back here. I just wanted to take you through my Free Score Now member dashboard. And this is basically a website that you can use, and I'll link it in the description. You can use to sort of track your credit score. It gives you suggestions on what you can do to boost your credit score and a bunch of other things. So yeah, I'm going to take you through it really quick. This is the score here, 781. It went up from the 731, went up 50 points. And it's saying that with the score builder, I can do a bunch of things that, I can tweak in my credit report, or, with my spending to increase this by 40 points over the course of a few months. And this is why this score of 821 is down here. Score Boost is like the same thing, payments can increase your score, blah, blah. Spending or credit card theft can decrease by 161, yada, 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 right? So these two sections are basically telling you what you can do to increase that score. And this is like my future score, 821. And this is my current grade, right? It's the A. And this was last updated 23 days ago. As I said, this is as of 10/26/23, which is today's date right here. As you can see, this is October 26th. It's when I'm recording this. And these are all my accounts. Let me just scroll down and go through one by one and just show you like how I've been able to get these sort of cards and whatnot. Not really how, but like just basically the limits and stuff like that. And it's just totally possible. Like I said, because of some situation that I went through, I had an issue with getting an apartment when I moved back home to New York after college, and it was a nice apartment, and I was lamenting over it, and I was just really upset about it. So because of that fueled my fire. So I started reading books, articles, NERDWALLET, started following YouTubers and watching videos, and I started consuming a lot of content as I could on credit. I even employed some credit building agencies to help me, and that kind of just sort of happened over the course of 2 years, and that's the result. It's like I have a high credit score now, and as you can see, this is my Chase Sapphire Preferred. This is a balance of almost $20,000, or sorry, not a balance, but a credit limit of about $20,000, and I've paid this down. As I said, this is last updated 26 days ago, and this is my Platinum card. It doesn't have a spending limit, right? This is my American Express Sky Miles Gold, which has a $13,000 spending limit. I also have a Capital One Venture, like I said, that's a $30,000 credit limit. And this Department of Education, obviously student loans, Nelnet. If you know anything about loans and stuff like that, or you've been following, I think Great Lakes just transferred to Nelnet, and they did that. I don't know why, but I can't even start paying. I wanted to actually start paying this down, but as of October, for me at least, because everyone's profile on this is different, I haven't been able to log in and start paying on my account yet. And then this is another service I'm using called Tomo Card, and this is Tomo Boost, and basically what it is basically reporting $30,000 credit limit. I don't actually have a credit card with them or anything like that. It's just a service I pay every month, and I'm paying like $83. I'm on the yearly plan, so the yearly plan is $1,000, and so it just averages out to $83 a month. And this basically reports a $30,000 limit to all 3 credit bureaus, and it also backdates my credit history for 24 months. And then I have another service called Self, which is basically sort of one of those credit building services as well, where you basically take out a hypothetical loan and you're paying it back over time, hypothetically. Well, I'm actually paying it back, but I'll just try and explain this the best way I can. You have this hypothetical loan, and it's taking away money every month from my debit account, and then this statement balance is going to go down until it hits 0, right? And at the end of that, they gave me the money back. So my loan amount, my hypothetical loan amount was like, I think for like $1,000. I think they're taking like either $50 or $25 a month out of my account, and that's over the course of 2 years, so 24 months. So you have to pay a fee. That's how they make money. They don't just take money from you and give it back. You pay a fee to set up the account, I think, and then that fee is the money that you give to them, and that's how they make their money. And then you are debited every month for the loan amount, whatever the payment terms was. And you never take this loan out. You never get any money from this company. They're just saying that you're paying this loan back until you hit zero, and then they give you your money back. But they make money by having that initial entrance fee taken from you, I think. So I did this like a year ago or so it's been a while, so I might not be explaining that totally right, but that's how it works. It's like, these are the credit building services I'm using. These are the student loans here, and then these are my credit cards. So you can see, like, I have like pretty good credit, and you need that as an expat, as a digital nomad, so you can take advantage of these benefits and travel the world and whatnot. So this is what I was stressing in my video. All right, thanks for watching the video. I hope this video was able to provide some value for you on your expat or digital nomad journey. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification so you'll be alerted when I make new videos. And with that, I'm out. Have a good night.